Hello, this is the foreshortening marathon episode of the Draw Along Club. So a few videos ago we asked people if they wanted to do a series of foreshortened poses, which is really, really tough, but a great way to practice. And you guys said yes, so here it is. So it's an hour long or even a bit more than an hour, and it's all foreshortening. The poses are up on the screen as we draw. And you can draw along with us if you like, and we're going to narrate the whole process. So I'm joined here by Mako.
Hello.
And we are going to start with these poses, and then we're going to warm up with some arms with cross contour lines on them. So you'll see what I mean in a second. And all the poses, reference photos of life models are from Croquis Cafe. So thank you to them,
Yes.
as always, for letting us
Thank you.
use their references. Okay, let's get on with it. So do you know these photos of these photos of my arm with Lucy, who's my wife? She painted, she drew these lines around my arm every 10 centimeters.
Right.
This was part of our foreshortening series. And
Yes.
the idea is to help you get people to help people get their eyes used to the effects of foreshortening.
Yeah.
And so we've got a few different ones of these, but someone got one of these from our website, one of these images, not this one, but a different one,
Yeah.
and put it up on first on Tumblr and then on Twitter.
Oh.
And it went really, I don't know. I think you can call that going viral because on Tumblr it got. I don't really understand Tumblr, but it had 40,000 people like noted it or something. I don't know what that means. And then on Twitter it had like 20,000 retweets. And like 60,000. I don't know what they are. Little heart. I don't know much about Twitter either. I never use that. But and it's all over on Pinterest and stuff. So it's really spread. Yeah. Unfortunately, on Twitter, I think the original post didn't credit Love Life Drawing, but then the guy did credit it after. So that was good.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess.
This is your arm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird to think.
You have a copyright.
Yeah, because he shared some like I don't know, some kind of analytics about that post, and it said it had 3.5 million impressions, which I think that means 3 million people saw it.
Wow.
That tweet, which is crazy. That's so crazy. It's just such a strange thing to happen. Like, look, you can see my armpit hair. And then 3 million people have been looking at it. So anyway, that was crazy. But I'm glad that people liked this idea. So hopefully we can have more of it. More stuff like this, more little innovations to help. But this is really just the warm up, right? So and actually this whole thing is just practice.
Yes.
Right? So if you guys are drawing at home, just keep in mind that the point of this is not to do good drawings, because these are all going to be really difficult poses. They're all foreshortened poses. They've all got an extra element of difficulty. And the whole point of this is that the best way to get good with foreshortening is to draw foreshortening loads.
Yes.
There's lots of practice.
Agree.
Yeah, because what we talked about in the first part of the foreshortening series is that foreshortening is in all poses and in almost everything that we're looking at. So you are used to foreshortening. It's not that we do draw foreshortening all the time. Even in poses, we don't think of foreshortened. But the difficulty is that we're not used to some specific angles, viewing some poses from some angles.
Yes.
So what you need to do is get more used to it.
Yeah.
It's not that there's something intrinsically difficult about these poses, but it's just that we're not used to them. And so we just got to get used to it, which means lots of drawing of these poses. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. This pose, for example, partially because we are drawing from 2D, but it's actually it's looking down, isn't it? So model's head is should be bigger, and as go deep, things become smaller. I mean, because of perspective, but we assume thigh is thick and a kind of preconception of a body part.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to know what model doing, as well as where's our viewpoint. So that's an important point of foreshortening, isn't it? So all depends on viewpoint. I mean, position of a viewer. So
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. So how did you approach this? One thing that I think is really useful is to put down big, simple lines that capture as much of the pose as possible, but not commit to them too much yet. Just keep them light and try and get the relationships between all the different parts about right. So
yes,
where does the foot line up to the other knee? See how his hand at the bottom is on top of that foot. Where does the arm disappear behind the head? That kind of stuff. And you can use that stick as well to keep everything relating quite nicely. But just a nice light initial layer to get everything in about the right place. I found it really useful to look at the negative space, which is something we talk about a fair bit in the foreshortening series, the negative space, and also to look for those geometric shapes. So did you use any of that for this one?
Yes, a geometric shape. But you said using a stick, but I found this stick is a cause of difficulty because this stick is straight but has got two widths. And if you make a stick width.
That's a difficult one for Japanese people.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Because it has got a thickness. If you use this stick as an anchor point, I mean scaffolding, it makes some I don't know. Stick itself become problem in my case. Yeah.
I guess it because it's got that width, it kind of separates rather than being just a line that you can use to align everything.
Yeah.
It actually separates things, so you get the distances and the lengths are hard to gauge.
Until the end, I didn't draw stick as a definite line.
Right. Right. Also, it breaks up your lines if you put it in too early and want to stick to it. You can draw straight through it. Yeah. Probably best to draw straight through it, eh?
What material you're using? It's different from normal.
That's what's it called, right? Pierre Noir. But
is it?
yeah, but I basically what I had was these stubs, like these little. I didn't want to throw them away. These last little bits on these pencils. You can see how short it is. So I had I had like 5 of them, and I just wanted to use them up. So I thought I could use those for this. So they're really difficult to sharpen because you can't really. There's nothing to hold on to.
That's great.
So I just wanted to use these up. What about you? Is that colored pencil? Yeah.
No, this is Koino's sanguine sanguine stick.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I thought you were
Yeah.
using the coin or colored pencil holder.
No, that this one is thicker than that, 5.6.
Ah, okay.
Koino has got several different sizes.
Right,
Uh, I use 3.8 as well as 5.6. Both really good.
right.
Yeah, Koino is a really great make and surprisingly cheap, but as good as more expensive competitors' product. I highly recommend Koino.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. I find them really good too. I use the
Hmm.
colored pencil holder,
Yeah.
right? And I really like that. Um, this pose is this lady must be a contortionist or something.
This one is very difficult. It's difficult. Did you work it out what she's doing? I
No, I never
mean,
worked out what she was doing, but
because bit tricky, isn't it? Because further, I mean, left, you see kind of crevice. Is it a half hip? You think?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't understand what's happening in this. I think that. Do you know what? I really don't know. I think there's a leg going round her back. Her left leg.
Left leg.
I
So
don't
she has
know.
a very long leg then.
But one thing I just think, if you are drawing this, don't
Yeah,
try to figure out what she's doing.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
see the shapes, and this is a great pose
yeah,
to draw.
amazing.
The reason being is that your preconceptions and all of that are going to be broken because it just doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah,
so you really do just have to draw the lines that you see. You can't think, oh, the leg should be like this and the hips should be like this, so I need to draw them
yeah,
like that. Because you don't even understand what the legs are doing or what the hips are doing. So you just, and also, how can the torso be at this angle to the legs?
yeah.
So you just
Uh,
draw
sorry.
all the shapes and lines just as you see them.
Yeah, there's somehow this pose reminds me that Salvador Dali's surrealist landscape.
Right. That
Because,
that you know that tip we gave in the foreshortening series to see the figure as a landscape sometimes.
yeah, but
That
not
is what you need to do.
usual, not the usual landscape, but the surrealist landscape.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's amazing, amazing
I
pose.
can't tell which if it's her left leg or her right leg that's over there on the
Mm,
right. I think it might
mm,
be her right leg,
right, you think?
and then her left leg is
Mm.
curling around behind her
Yeah, you can see foot,
all the
isn't
way
it?
round. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that I think that's her left leg and the other one is her
Oh,
right leg. Right?
right. Okay.
Don't you think?
Is it? Well, it's difficult because the thigh looks that upwards, knees there. Oh my God, this is a real surrealist
Unless is it that
pose.
could it be that her hips are turned the other way? So her
Mm.
left.
Hips down other way.
No, no. I think
You know, if you
I don't
see
know.
right part, you can see two kind of line crevice. And I thought one is a bottom curve is probably her arm, you think, or shoulder.
Where?
The left in the photo,
Yeah.
you see two kind of crease. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see both her shoulders and they're not there.
No.
Right? Like you can see one shoulder's behind her
So,
face and one is up in the air. So that can't be her shoulder.
well, behind, so you can't see bottom shoulder. I mean,
Right, but it's
right.
not all the way back there though. That's too far.
No. So what's that?
That's part of her hips, I think. I don't
Mm.
know, man.
Oh
This
yeah.
pose is so crazy. Okay, this is more
Yes. Okay.
straightforward.
Normal.
Yeah. That's a great pose though, because it's definitely going to break down your brain trying to force its
Yeah.
ideas on you, because your brain doesn't understand that pose. So then
Yeah.
but your eyes understand what it's seeing, right? Your eyes know the
Yeah.
shapes. So, but anyway, here's a more straightforward foreshortened torso. So
Yeah. Foreshortened torso. Torso. Actually, her torso is very lean, very slender. So you can see tiny bit of light come through between her torso and the arm. You can see that the point.
oh yeah, you mean on her left side, on the right side of the photo,
Yes,
just
tiny bit.
under her breast. There's a little
Yeah.
point. Yeah. So you were
If
looking for that.
because otherwise you can't determine that her torso, isn't it?
Oh, I
Because
see. Yeah, the width of
her
her
torso is
torso.
a very her torso is very slender.
Right. So that's a tiny little point of light, but it tells you a lot
Yeah.
because it means that the
Yes.
torso doesn't go any further across than
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
the torso just inserted into her what's called a pelvis,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. One thing that a lot of people really become reluctant to do is to bring where there's a sort of bend or a fold in the torso, is to
Yes.
really bring the lines in. They try to
Mm.
keep the torso quite thick,
Yes.
and so sometimes you really need to bring those lines quite far inwards and create
Yes.
quite a dramatic fold or sharp angle in the torso. Like if you
Yeah.
think about the line there, her rib
Yeah.
cage there is make under her breast. There's that tiny point. What's happening there? You can see
Yeah.
like her rib cage coming down, and then behind
Yes.
that you can see her hips, right?
Yeah. The
And
rib
that
cage. Yeah.
and so if her arm wasn't there would be a
Yeah.
sharp angle there.
Yeah.
Like not quite
And
90 degrees, but a very sharp angle. And I think you got to have you got to go for those sharp angles in the torso where there is one.
yes.
Yeah,
And
on the other side it doesn't really matter, but on that side it
rib,
does.
rib cage really catching up torso. Torso just go towards rib cage. Rib cage is like a cradle, and
Yeah.
torso is just sticking into that rib cage. Does it make sense?
No, I don't know what you mean, sorry.
Um, rib cage, sorry, pelvis
Oh,
is
okay.
receiving torso.
Right.
Um,
It's like
torso is inserted. Torso is inserted into that
okay.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
nice cradle-like
Pelvis. Yeah.
pelvis container, and
Yes.
torso just sticking
It
into.
slots into it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And this pose explained that very well, I think.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
It does make sense, but so then what's happening? What did you say for the rib cage? So the torso slots into the pelvis is what you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah, because not only this pose, but when you draw a relationship of rib cage and torso, um, if you see it, see that rib cage is receiving the torso, and the torso is sitting in the cradle of rib cage, whole things make more sense.
Yeah, I
So,
understand. I guess it's a little confusing because, the torso is the whole thing, right?
mm,
But I guess it's more sort of the midsection.
yeah,
It slots into the pelvis, but then the rib cage
yeah,
is kind of receiving it.
yeah,
Like
that's
yeah.
right.
I think there's a good BAMS, in the BAMS book,
Yeah,
there's a good diagram
I
of this.
I learned that thing from Bam's
Right,
anatomy book.
right,
Yeah, I think his diagram is really full of insight of
right.
not just anatomical analysis, but has got real insight about structure of body. Yeah.
So, guys, if you are drawing these at home, this is a difficult exercise, right? This is
Yes.
really difficult poses on repeat. So if you are struggling, then that is absolutely fine. And if it's not, the
Yeah.
drawings are coming out not good, that's good. It means that you're working on something that you need to work on. Because often what happens is that, you're choosing, especially if you practice from photos, even subconsciously, you'll avoid these really difficult poses, right? And go for the easier ones with less foreshortening. And that means that you don't get used to these. And then foreshortening becomes more and more of a struggle because you're just used to
Mm,
more straightforward poses. And I
yeah.
see people at life drawing sessions when they've got a very foreshortened pose, they'll
They
move.
change a place.
They'll
Yeah, they
change
change
place,
place.
but what you want
Yeah.
to do is move to the difficult angles. Don't move
Mm,
away from them,
mm.
but go
No,
towards
that's
them
good point.
because then you won't fear them after a while,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
you
No,
get
that's
used to
true.
them.
Yeah,
And that's really all you need to do to overcome this challenge is just get used to it by drawing it loads and getting through the hump. Because one
yeah.
cool thing is if you can draw foreshortened poses, there's a lot of drama in that there's a lot of energy and visual interest
Mm,
automatically in your drawing when
yes,
you can draw the foreshortening.
yes.
Yeah. So if it's not going well, that is good because that is exactly what you need to be working on.
Mm. But we artists are sensitive, so
So I mean, I that's what I say, but when I look at some of these drawings on the video,
mm,
and some things going wrong, things I'm not happy with, I still don't like that. So
mm,
it's easy to say, but it's hard to really feel that way. But it is true,
yeah.
you know.
This pose is again kind of dirty to restaurant scale.
Well, but
It's
this,
tricky because the head is far smaller than what we used to think, don't you think?
yeah, I mean, the head is
Head,
quite well.
head.
What I found with the head is
Mm,
it's hard to get a feel of that volume in the head because
mm,
it just kind of looks like a flat shape almost because it's just
yeah.
dark hair like that.
Mm,
And you're not getting a sort of light, lots of reflecting light explaining the sort of sphere of the skull or anything like that. So how do you get a
yes.
sense of volume in that head is quite, I found that quite difficult.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Yeah.
But
Oh
the
dear, dear.
what you want to look for
It's
in the torso, which is very quite difficult, is
mm, it's a rib cage as well as her breast has
yeah,
make a whole thing. It's quite a unusual shape, isn't it?
right. So one thing to look for is that sharp angle in the rib cage there on the right side of the photo.
Yes.
It's almost like a not quite a right angle, but a very sharp angle,
Mm,
and you want to get that. But
that's true.
also follow that line. From her butt, the the line coming up, going up the spine. It goes
Yes.
almost horizontal from the top of her butt. So
Mm,
because you're used to seeing a torso above the butt, then
mm,
you want to put the torso above the butt. But it's really coming across almost horizontal, that line of the spine. So you don't want to
Yeah.
underdo that. And it
Uh,
doesn't go much higher than her
yes.
butt, right?
Yes.
And so that sort of shortness of the torso, how it doesn't really go up high very much above her bottom, it just comes
Yes.
out off to the right, and it's got that sharp angle. Those are the kinds of things that you'll look for. And if you don't get them, it doesn't matter again, because this is all just practice.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Mm.
another thing is, the point of her hair on
Yes.
the left side
Yeah.
is uh, is lining up with that is off to the right of her the middle of her bum,
Yeah.
right? So you don't want to put it centered above her butt. It's going off to the right. So those
Mm.
kinds of alignments are going to be quite useful.
Yeah, I think I failed to that align head. Yours is more accurate, I
I don't know.
think.
Mine, yeah, it looks funny, but anyway, there's no need to criticize ourselves, because it's just practice, right? And you know
Yeah.
what? If you guys out there are on, what are we now? We're like half an hour in. And if you're half an hour into a foreshortening marathon, all foreshortened poses,
Yes.
then well done to you, because this is not really easy. And it's the hard practice, it's the more frustrating practice, and it's just the kind of practice that you need to persevere through, I think,
Yeah.
to get anywhere.
Steve Rudd said, as he recommended, we needed two kind of drawing. One is for study and research kind, serious drawing, but also having fun, copying your favorite artist or something like that, and just doing doodle. I think we shouldn't forget that having fun element, I think. Because
Yeah, I
otherwise,
mean, I don't know
something,
if this is fun practice. I think it is quite fun, but there is definitely more relaxed types of drawing than
mm,
specifically choosing difficult poses like this.
yeah,
Did you find that after a while of doing these foreshortened poses, you just got used to it and relaxed into it?
no.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, you know what? We're calling it a marathon, but 1 hour is still quite short. So you're still going to need to
yeah,
keep
marathon,
doing this.
yeah. Yeah, as you said, it's strange, isn't it? For example, when we go to the student central life class, we draw 2.5 hours with a short break, and still, then we don't feel any kind of a fatigue or anything like that.
No, it just
That's
flies
very,
by and it's really relaxing.
yeah,
I think, you
the
know, one thing
psychology.
is because we're calling it a marathon,
Mm,
you start to feel like it's more tiring just by because of its name, you know?
yeah.
Um,
And not just the marathon, but the foreshortening
yeah,
marathon
yeah.
sounds torturous.
I was thinking today, like, you know, our channel's growing a lot now, right?
Yeah, that's
That
great.
this video could
Mm.
kill off the whole channel.
That's a very possible way.
Because no one wants to
Yeah,
watch a foreshortening marathon. That sounds awful, right?
yeah,
But you know what? We feel like we just want to put out stuff that's going to be really useful. And
mm,
I think doing loads of foreshortening and just getting used to it and doing that difficult practice, that's useful.
mm.
So,
Yeah. I
um,
think if you can do foreshortening well, a whole thing of drawing become, I mean, life drawing become very, very easy, I think.
right.
Yeah.
Because it means
Mm.
that if you can do foreshortening well, it means that your eye and your arm are really working nicely together.
And
And
also kind of put all preconception behind.
Right.
That's the whole point of foreshortening practice, isn't it?
Exactly.
If you draw as you know, foreshortening doesn't work, so you have to become very kind of innocent child to
Right.
draw foreshortening. So in that respect too, I think it's a great exercise
It's so
for
funny.
drawing in general.
You're learning to see what your eyes are already seeing.
Mm,
It's funny, right?
yeah,
You can't. Maybe
but
it's more that you're learning to trust what your eyes are seeing.
mm,
You're doing this one nicely. You started off with, what was that? A big triangle.
you know what? I did this drawing before in our foreshortening
Right. So
practice.
you've practiced this
So
one before.
I did practice. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. This one was in one of the videos, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So this is the second time to draw this guy lying down.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel more comfy, I think.
I mean, the risk, if you're drawing this one, the risk is that you
Mm,
make these lines of the torso. You make the height of the torso too
mm.
high, because it's
Yeah, yeah.
incredibly short from this foreshortened angle. The
But still,
torso.
many things happening. His kind
Yeah.
of breast and his rib cage and his crouch, everything in that
Yeah.
narrow space.
And you
So
might without realizing, you might
yeah, you can easily
space them
make it
out.
too high. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of straightforward. Most of the figure here is foreshortened, right?
Yeah, but that's still difficult. You
Yeah.
know that this pose reminded me that kind of confectionery chocolate bread when I liked when I was a child
Why did
because of shape, that cone shape.
what did they have a poster like this or something?
No, no, no. You know the cone shape
Toblerone,
cornet.
cornetto.
Her her body makes kind of cornet shape, isn't it?
Oh, right,
And there
those
was
little
a
cones.
bread
Yeah.
like that when I was sorry to model to make that. It's a kind of pan au chocolat, but shape is cornetto. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
But
anything that helps you to see the foreshortened figure in a different way is going to help.
yeah, but cornet was fine, but it was hard to straight her head. Head is bigger than what you think, isn't it?
Right.
Because of foreshortening. So lower half of her body is much, much smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going
Yeah,
to have
you
to.
put it nicely. Yeah.
I think I got the head a bit small, right? But maybe I'll fix it later. I can't remember. But
Is
yeah,
it? You
you
think
want to.
so?
The other thing that you may risk doing with this one is
Mm.
the width of the pose is not very wide, right? From the side of her knee on the left side of the photo, all the way
Yeah.
across to the other side where her shoulder is and her arm is.
Yeah.
The width of the pose is not that wide, but
No,
you
no.
might want to make it wide
Yeah.
because you feel like she's lying down, and her body should make this pose quite wide. So what can easily happen is that you'll make that leg longer, stretch out longer to the left than it really is.
Mm. Yeah.
Does that make
Maybe
sense?
that's what I did.
So it's very what you want to do is, whatever your your inclination is, however you want to do it, just think maybe it should be shorter than this, because
Mm.
my mind is going to want to stretch out this pose to make it
Yeah.
wider and make that leg come out more to the left, because
Yes.
my brain can't believe what my eyes are seeing, which is that, like, if you think about the width of her between her shoulders,
Yeah.
right? That's actually more than from the it's wider
Mm.
than the way wider than what we can see of the leg from
Yeah.
our point of
Yeah.
view, right?
Yeah.
Across to the left. So from with her butt and her leg, the bit that we can see,
Yes.
it's not very wide across to the left. So you got to be
No.
careful not
No.
to try and stretch it out too much.
No. That's true.
I
Yes.
think I really messed up her lower half though. I've got her butt too
No.
low,
I
way
think the,
low, and like kind of weird looking. And also it's like the wrong angle. So the angle, if you look at the front of her, which is lying on the ground, the plane of the ground, it's up on a diagonal, right? We're looking down on her. So
looking
she's,
down on her. Yes.
yeah, so that line, you can see the
Mm.
shadow where she's lying on the floor, where her body
Yes.
touches the floor. That's going
Mm.
up at a diagonal, right? And
Yeah,
mine
that
is,
I'm saying.
yeah, yours is quite horizontal, and mine is quite horizontal. So
Yeah.
you guys, if you're
So
drawing this
both
at
of
home,
us failed.
yeah, I know I'm saying this quite late in the drawing, but you want that angle to be going up to the left
That's
on a
true. That's
diagonal.
true.
It's
I can see it now clearly, but when I was drawing, I didn't see it.
it's weird, isn't it? It's because we're like, oh, she's lying on the floor. The floor is
Mm.
flat, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it flat, and then your brain just messes up the drawing because
Yeah.
your eyes saw the angle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my bad habit, but I think I will change my easier method because I'm looking at the reference in the side. So landscape format is difficult to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
clearly.
But
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
my excuse.
I think that's an excuse because I think that's more of a innate, like a common thing that would happen, is that you
Yeah.
would end up flattening that angle out because you think
Yeah.
that it's supposed to be flat. And so
Oh, that's
okay, so what's likely to go wrong with this pose? What's the thing? Probably you want to make the torso longer than it is. So you're gonna wanna
once again. Yes.
you might bring out her butt more off to the right than it really is because you want
Yes.
the torso to have more length, but the foreshortening is there, so it actually the butt is not so far off to the right. Like
No, that's
if
true.
you see
Yes.
where her right leg,
Yes.
the right side of her right leg. So I mean on the left side of the photo, that
Left side.
line coming up
Yes.
into her torso.
Yes. Yes.
It meets her torso.
Mm.
It meets her torso. If you follow that line up,
Yeah.
it's not that far away from her face,
That's true.
right? So
It's
you
true.
kind of want to carry that line down from her face,
Mm.
straight down from that edge of her face,
Mm.
the face on the right side of the photo.
Yeah.
Just carry that line down. That's not that far from the edge of that leg, right?
That's true.
So that's the kind of stuff that is going to help to make sure that things don't get too stretched away from the reality.
Mm.
Yeah, and the other thing is, yeah, like her the negative space created by her arm and then that leg.
Yeah.
And then there's her breast there, but you can kind of see that it's a sort of long, kind of not quite rectangle, but that kind of shape. So you can use that negative space as well.
I think I just realized I put the face on the side too near. I just realized because you mentioned that it's
Right.
near.
So you've done the opposite of what I thought would happen, which is, so you've actually got the leg
Too near
too
the
near.
face, I think.
Yeah, but not much, not by much. So I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing to look for is the overlaps, right? there are lines
Yeah.
disappearing behind other lines, especially in the
Yeah.
torso. So the line of that arch of her rib cage
Mm.
is overlapping. It's on top of the stomach, which is
Yeah.
further away from us, right?
Yes.
So if you can get those lines, those kind of that wave of lines, and then those ones are over the top of the lines beneath the lines of the
Mm.
stomach, and then the lines of the breasts are on top of those.
Yeah.
Those overlaps are going to help explain in the drawing the depth,
That's true.
right?
And also, once again, this pose explains well relationship of torso and pelvis. Pelvis receiving torso. Don't you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I found this hard. I think I messed this one up a little bit.
I think your face is, I think, rightly put. I think. No?
But the one thing is, I always want to put the face in, right? But
Mm.
what we really needed to do here was foreshortening. So
Yeah.
the face isn't really foreshortened. Maybe that's why I wanted to put it in. I was like
Mm.
escaping the foreshortening a bit. You know?
Psychological.
Yeah, like you don't really need to draw the face. The exercise is foreshortening, and you can focus on that area and then just do the shape, the rough shape of the head.
Yes, yes.
But so one
It is a
thing,
difficult pose. It is very difficult, really.
yeah, yeah. One thing I think I'm not doing well here is I think you've done it, but is I've got a lot of on her tummy and going down to her crotch there. I've got a lot of contrast. Like those lines are quite dark, and then there's no shade there at the moment, anyway. So that
You mean
area, it
her
doesn't.
breast?
No, her tummy under down to her crotch.
Yeah.
So that area doesn't go backwards in the drawing. It doesn't go back in the drawing. It comes
Ah, you
forward.
mean, yeah, it is dark, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and I should have made it kind of go back a little bit. It was quite prominent the way that I drew it.
Uh, oh dear, this pose is also quite difficult because it looks easy because so many straight lines,
Yeah,
but it is difficult because so normal kind of anchor point is all hidden by legs and arm. Or most of the things you see are just legs and arms, isn't it? And
yeah,
but and there's also positioning of a head. It's all tricky, this one, don't you think?
yeah. One thing that I found quite tricky was her right leg. I always find it hard to describe. When I say her
Well,
right
right
leg,
leg,
I mean the one on the left of the photo.
where
Um,
foreshortening appear most pronounced.
Pronounced,
Yeah,
yeah. It just seems so low and flat somehow, and that kind of
yeah, yeah.
surprised me. It was hard. It just seemed, I don't know. I thought it, like my mind. I didn't want to draw it the way I saw it because it just looked too
Yeah,
too not that it was
and
foreshortened,
also
but that it was had no not too flat.
also because of the previous drawing, we know this particular model, has got very, she's very tall and has got very long legs. So that kind of knowledge also stop us to see things as it is, I think.
Right. Yeah. Um, and also there are a few like visible landmarks that we can't see. Now, you can't see too much of the arch of the rib cage. You can't see the line of the pelvis too much. So it's all limbs.
But your drawing is beautiful, though. It's very nice.
You think so?
Yeah, like you're going silly. It's really great.
But yeah, so the torso is like the sort of heart of the pose usually. and
Mm.
it's a good idea to really focus on torsos in a lot of your practice, I think, because
Yeah.
it sets off a lot of gesture, and there's so much. The torso can often appear in some drawings like a blob or a block, but there's so
Yeah.
much dynamism and strength and tension and all kinds of stuff happening in a torso. But in this pose, the torso is taking a back seat to the limbs, right?
Yeah, but I think this drawing is the best of yours so far. I think it's really beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Well, has got the totality, unity as a
Right.
one figure, and doesn't have any harshness. Very soft,
Right.
despite of this angular pose. I think that's great. Yeah,
Oh, cool. Well, that makes
it's
me feel
great
better about
drawing.
it.
That's great drawing. Okay.
Cool. Um, yeah, so we were talking a bit about the channels getting quite big, eh?
Yeah,
I think we've hit 20,000 subscribers now, which
it's
is
incredible.
crazy. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to, you know, to understand that the reality of that, which is 20,000
Mm,
people, is just, when you think of it not as a number but as real people,
yeah,
that's insane. You know?
yeah. That's great. I think that
Yeah, it's cool.
I
It's
hope
cool.
we can deliver what they need. I think.
Yeah, I
I hope.
I think so far we have, right? So if we can keep up the quality, and I think one thing that we've done well is to focus on thinking about what they need. I like how you've carried on that line from her butt onto her ankle.
Mm.
I really like it when artists do that. You know, instead of obviously the natural line
Yeah.
is going down the side of her calf
Yes.
onto her ankle, right? I mean, it's covered
Yeah.
up by her hand, but whereas you have carried it on from her butt around to her ankle. And I always like that when artists do that kind of stuff. When they see a
Oh.
continuity in a
Oh,
line.
thank you. At least you can find something good in
No.
the drawing. Thank you, Kento.
um, yeah, I always like that kind of stuff. I like it when artists will merge two areas of tone together.
Oh, this is the same model, but a totally
Man,
different
this
pose.
pose, I struggled with this
Very
drawing.
expansive.
Yeah.
Very expansive.
You know,
You draw just the upper body.
yeah.
That's a bit of escape, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. But you know what? This pose is so hard because this foreshortening is subtle. When the foreshortening is really extreme and in your face, like that contortionist one,
Yeah.
you can just
Yeah.
turn off your brain, right?
No, I think you're right because there is a reason just to draw torso because most of foreshortening occurs upper body, isn't it? I mean, the leg side is a bit foreshortened, but not much. But the upper torso,
Yeah, but do you know what? I
yeah.
do have a habit of not doing the lower legs and feet,
Hmm.
and it's I. Do you know what I need to do? I need to just do like serious. It's because I like the torso and I like all the gesture that comes from that the most.
Yes,
But
yes.
but obviously partly it's because I'm like shying away from the legs and feet because I'm not as used to drawing them or as comfortable drawing them. So I really need to
Well,
just
they can
yeah,
leg.
yeah. I like doing the upper, like yeah.
Okay.
So I'm shying away from it too often,
Hmm.
and I think I've mentioned it before. So I need to finally just get on
Hmm.
with doing it. But this I think this drawing for me doesn't go well. I can't remember, but I think this one doesn't go well because I just
This
found
one's
it
very
hard
difficult,
with
isn't
her
it?
head. I think it was her
Because,
head, and yeah,
yeah, because upper body is go backwards and supported by one arm, but her, from there, her whole head and the neck go upwards. Lots of movement in this pose. It's very
right.
difficult.
And her pelvis is not
Beautiful pose.
really beautiful pose. Yeah, her pelvis is not that tilted back, and then even though her torso is foreshortened, it's still quite long.
Yes.
And then her head is coming up again, but not vertical. It's still
No.
a bit foreshortened, and it's got that subtle angle, which is really hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? Necks and faces from beneath are really tricky.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. This is a difficult pose.
yeah. This
Yeah,
kind of
but
pose.
I think this one is worth practicing. I think this pose.
I think so too. And do you know what I think?
Mm.
I think that, you know, like before we had a pose that we were looking at from the above.
Yes.
I find foreshortening from above is way easier than poses where you're seeing things from below.
You think?
I think so, because the overlaps are easier to understand from above.
Ah.
Right? Like the
That's
nose
good
comes
point.
out and covers the a bit of the mouth, and the chin and jaw comes out and covers, you know, whatever, some of the chest, and then the rib cage covers stuff beneath. So the stuff that's at the top of the figure covers the stuff at the bottom. Whereas when you're looking at things from beneath, you're seeing, it's like, I don't know, it's like when you draw a nose from underneath, the shapes that you see, I find a lot harder to capture.
You mean face or whole thing?
But I think the whole thing, like, yeah, I mean, I guess especially the neck and the face from below,
Yes.
are tricky, and I think we could work on that and try and understand how to deal with that, because I do think that that's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just me or if it's common.
No. This is. I find everything difficult. Below or above, all difficult.
Yeah, but this one.
But that difficulty is a kind of part of fun, isn't it? Because we like a challenge, and if everything easy, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. If you don't want to do 50 pieces of jigsaw puzzle, do you?
No.
So you want to enjoy something
pieces.
More ambitious.
Yeah, I think a jigsaw's a good analogy because the jigsaw is really difficult at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then as you start to get some pieces in place,
yes,
it's still difficult, right? It still stays confusing. But then the more that you start to get pieces into place and you can move them around, the more it starts to slowly make more and more sense. And then the pieces become easier and easier to put into position. Yeah.
Drawing is a bit like a jigsaw, far more interesting than jigsaw, but there is something common, isn't there?
Yeah. I like jigsaws though. We've been doing some recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which image are you doing?
Wildlife.
Wildlife?
No, I'm saying so my friend Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been getting all these big 1,000-piece jigsaws. So we've been doing that a little bit.
Yeah. I have a good jigsaw upstairs. I think it's Bosch. Bosch is a famous painting. 2,000 pieces. I haven't done it, but one day I will.
Have you started it?
Once, then I destroyed, and I
You
will
got
do it again.
frustrated.
No, just the 2000. It's a hard
That's a
work.
lot. Yeah, God.
Yeah.
So how have you tackled? I see that you've got some nice line of, her that from on her right leg, that big curve going up to
Right.
her hip.
It's a left in the photo. You
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
You did a little slight structural line that carried that all the way round to the other side,
Oh,
right?
I don't know.
Yeah, you did.
You draw just again torso.
All right, yeah, all right, all right. But that's because that's the foreshortened bit, right? That's my excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you've got that line and you've carried it all the way round to the curve on the other side, because you can actually. And now you've done. Now that I see that in your drawing, I think that's great. I can see that in the pose. It's almost like a big circle in the middle of the pose, right?
I had tummy and the pelvis.
No, not her tummy and her pelvis. You know
Mm.
the line of that disappears behind her right breast, the
Right
line of her
there.
hips and her
Yeah.
butt,
Ah, okay.
and
Yeah.
if you carry that curve around in a circle
Yeah.
to the other side,
Yeah.
it kind of joins up to the. Well, I guess I guess that is all the way around to the other side.
Yeah.
Can you
I
see
think
that?
I was conscious because I just at this moment I'm reading Hokusai, the Japanese famous artist Hokusai's tutorial book, and he said when you draw figure, you start with a circle. He said he's a great advocate of compass. Can you believe?
What, a compass to draw perfect circles?
He no, he declared you can draw everything with the compass and the ruler.
Wow.
And no,
This is
it's
the guy who did the Great Wave, one of the most
yes, yes,
iconic,
yes,
and
yes.
he's using practicing with a compass and ruler. That's cool. You know what that shows to me is there's no rules in
Mm,
art. People
yes,
want to say there's all these rules. You're not a real artist if you do this or you do that.
yeah,
Yeah, well, there's no more legitimate artist than Hokusai, right?
yeah.
And he
No,
used a
I think you
compass.
are a good point because people probably laugh if normal people, ordinary people say, "Oh, you can draw everything with a compass and ruler." People think you are absolute Philistine,
Yeah.
but Hokusai said that, and Leonardo da Vinci, that arguably greatest painter, said recommended his disciple using a sheet of glass and trace landscape on glass.
Oh, like you put the glass up to the landscape and just
Yeah,
trace the
yeah, yeah.
lines.
Then you can get a good landscape. That's what Da Vinci recommended. People don't think Hokusai and Da Vinci are a stupid man, but if ordinary people said that, people laugh. Yeah.
I I
Uh,
I just I just think there's no real rules, and
no.
if you're trying to have rules, then I just don't think that's in the spirit of it,
Mm,
you know. And so, and people say, oh no, that's cheating and stuff like that. Just do whatever you want, man.
yeah.
You can't, if there's no rules, then there's no real cheating, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you plagiarize, if you steal someone's ideas and steal their work, that's bad.
Yeah.
But just do what. Otherwise, in terms of techniques, just do what
I
you
think
want.
the Hokusai's compass recommendation has got point. I mean, not just compass is a bit extreme, but certainly you can draw things with a circle. You can start drawing with a circle, or partial circle. I mean, 2D circle, not sphere, but just a circle.
Yeah, yeah,
And for example, diamond and the triangle. Those 2D shapes can be a great initiative of figure drawing, I think.
right. So this one you started with a diamond shape.
did I? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
got so his legs are making a triangle, right? There's his
yeah,
foot over there, coming off to the left of the photo, and then
yeah,
his other knee, and then the his hip on the other
yeah,
side makes a big triangle.
yeah,
And then I think you actually added another triangle going up around a bit of his torso just to add some, just to, one thing that Frank said, Frank,
yeah,
our life drawing teacher, we got a video
mm,
of him coming up.
yeah,
You just put something down on the
yeah,
page to
yeah,
start,
yeah.
and then you can start to move from there. And the first lines, it almost doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's great advice. I think somehow we should overcome that whiteness of paper. And
Yeah,
once you put something, even just a line, something is happening and start happening. Yeah, but
yeah,
otherwise, white paper just get you and you're just frightened with the white paper. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Do something, then start from there is a great idea. Advice, I think.
yeah. Man,
Mm.
this pose, when I was looking at the poses before starting, I thought this one would be relatively easy, but I totally messed up
I
this.
think this pose is quite difficult, I
It's
think.
this more subtle foreshortening. I
Mm.
really feel like that's the hardest.
Because his arm and legs is all over direction, and also um, torso is twisted, and the neck is also turned the other direction. It's lots of things happening in this pose. It's not easy pose, I think.
Well, so the twist and stuff, I like. I
Mm,
like twist in the torso and stuff because it gives you something to draw, right?
mm,
But for some reason, this combination and his arm coming across and
mm,
covering the twist
mm,
makes it harder, I think. And then the subtle foreshortening, like his leg does have some length, even though it's
mm,
foreshortened,
mm.
but it's
It's a
not.
very long leg, isn't it? It is.
It's not easy to see how much is it, how short is it because of foreshortening.
Mm,
So when it's really extreme foreshortening, it's like, okay, well, this is, everything's on top of itself, so it's really,
mm,
really short.
mm,
It becomes very, very small. This
mm,
has some length, but it's not the full length, and so
mm,
it's like, how much do I give this?
mm.
Is hard to figure this one out.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Look at his right leg from knee towards foot. It's very long.
Very long, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So to describe same length with the other one, at the foreshortening one, it's quite hard. Yes.
yeah. So I wish I'd started with that big geometric shape like you did, and stopped worrying about the legs.
A diamond. That's Hokusai sensei's advice.
Yeah, yeah,
I really like a 2D shape. It's a fun.
yeah. And it's a good way to just get something down to start.
Yeah, because if it's a 3D shape, I mean cylinder, cone, it's already kind of a bit of academicism there. I mean shading and the 3D, but the geometric shape is more kind of pattern and fun,
Right,
you know.
right.
And, you can have a fun with that.
So this pose is very subtle in terms of
Oh
foreshortening.
yes, oh
I
yes,
mean, it's the torso is doing all sorts of stuff and twisting away
yeah.
from us, so it's not very foreshortened, but there is a little bit there.
Very subtle foreshortening. And
Yeah,
this one is very hard, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's some really nice shapes in the tones. So, you can see on his shoulder blade on the left side there. There's
That's a
some
beautiful pose. It's a
right.
really lovely pose. Just to draw in 5 minutes is very difficult because you need a kind of investigation what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a beautifully subtle pose, I think.
yeah, and a lot of it's in the dark. Most of his torso is in the dark, and so it's
Yeah.
just that bit on just sort of above his shoulder blade, and then that arm on the other side,
Yes.
being bathed in light a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you want to kind of carry his spine up to his neck,
Yes.
and kind of keep that continuous.
Actually, that croquet feather pose is mostly subtly beautiful. I think it's amazing, the resource, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, good poses over there.
Yeah, good models, good pose. Lots to learn. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I highly recommend if you haven't tried.
Yeah, so guys, if you're out there and you're still drawing all these difficult poses, then well done to you. You know, that's exactly the kind of practice that you need to start to overcome any fear of foreshortening.
But you can pause the video anytime and have a cup of tea or coffee, then start again.
Yeah, well, we're almost finished now, so it's too late to say that. But I would say that if you do practice from at home with reference photos, definitely seek out from time to time. Make sure you're getting your quota of unusual poses, difficult angles, rather than always sticking with kind of standing dynamic twist, like nice. I find myself looking for kind of dynamic standing poses with a nice twist or bend in the torso, so that I've got.
Really? Because you always try to avoid the legs. How
Right, so I just yeah, and then I draw those without the legs. So
it's like a Japanese ghost. You know, Japanese ghost doesn't have a leg. I don't know where this tradition comes from. Western ghost has a leg. Japanese ghost doesn't. Sorry, I shouldn't tease you.
No, it's fair enough. It's true that I keep on avoiding the legs and feet. So, I gotta make sure to add in those. If you see a pose and you like, I don't want to do that, then you should probably do it because there's something going on. Like maybe you're avoiding something. You know.
But on the other hand, it's good to know where to cut, where to concentrate. I think I tend to draw whole thing, but you know, sometimes it's far more effective to cut pose. It is an art to cut well. I mean, in a way, much easier to draw whole thing.
Yeah. I guess the problem is when you're always cutting out the same bits. Yeah. Yeah. But so, you know what? We've done it. We're almost there at the end. And
really?
Yeah, I think this is the last one.
How many poses did we do?
12. 12 poses, yeah.
Oh,
and
well done.
You know what? Not all of the drawings worked, and it's hard, but it's just this is how practice goes, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, it's like a photographer. Photographer made of hundreds of use film. Then just one or two good photographs come out. I think up to a point, artist is same. We produce many, and then a few good ones come out. I think. Don't you think?
Yeah. So guys, if you made it all the way to the end, then write that in the comments.
Yeah.
Really
well done.
Yeah, and if any of the drawings didn't go well, it really doesn't matter. That's the point. The point is practice, and as long as you were doing it and drawing, that's exactly what you need to do.
One good quote by daughter of Hokusai.
Yeah.
Oei, because one day old Hokusai, 80-something, almost cried and said to his daughter Oei, "Oh, I can't draw even cat." And Oei just comforted him, saying, "When one think one should stop drawing, that's their time you will improve." And Hokusai totally agree what she said.
Okay.
So
So when
if
you
you
feel
feel,
like giving up and everything's
yeah,
going wrong,
that's the time you can improve. So you should push.
just
I
push,
think
push, push.
that's a great advice from daughter of Hokusai.
Awesome. Okay, we'll end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.